I suppose no civilization has ever vanished, leaving behind it so many unsolved riddles, so many unanswered problems, as that of the Maya civilization. We don't know how it began, we don't know how it ended. When the Spaniards conquered Mexico some 400 years ago, their priests destroyed practically all the Maya records as works of the devil. This may or may not have been a blow to the devil, but it certainly was a blow to us anthropologists and historians. We've been sitting up nights trying to piece the story together ever since. All anyone has to do is to look at their buildings and their sculptures to see that they reached a pretty high level of civilization. They were the only American Indians who had developed much beyond picture writing. Some of their books remain to us, like this. In spite of all they achieved, the Maya had no plow. They had no spade. And even though they built fine roads, they never made use of the wheel. Much of their energy was spent in the study of the mysteries of time and in the movement of the stars and the planets. Time was an obsession with them. They actually worshipped it. They covered their monuments and buildings with calendrical reckonings. They carved hundreds of monuments like this, recording their computations, which extended far into the past. On some of these monuments, we find accurate calculations extending over 400 million years. The Maya believed that time periods were burdens to be carried through all eternity by relays of bearers. Each year, for example, had a particular god who bore it, the god who was worshipped and propitiated. Each day or month or year would bring disaster or good fortune, depending upon the god who bore it, whether he was evil or benevolent. Every move they made, from birth until death, was determined by the particular god and the tendency at the moment. How the Maya ever got anything done under a system like this is difficult to see, but they did. They built magnificent cities, temples and palaces of stucco and stone, beautifully decorated. They placed their buildings on towering step pyramids.
Uxmal and Copan, Tikal and Washaktun and Chichen Itza were as splendid in their architecture as Babylon or Nineveh or the fabled cities of ancient Egypt. As a matter of fact, Maya cities were not really cities at all. They were simply ceremonial centers, pyramided temples and palaces surrounding immense plazas. These plazas were deserted, except on market days or days sacred to religion. Then, high up on the terraces above the people, priests would stage their fearful rituals, sometimes offering up human victims to appease the gods and to overawe the peasants. The Maya had a peculiar way of building their temples one over another, covering the first with a pyramid, then building a new temple on top of that, and so on. Sometimes a single pyramid is found to contain 3 or 4 others nested inside. Most of the Maya cities and the finest of their stone carvings were created within a 500-year period of tremendous activity and progress. And then, mysteriously, it all came to an end. In one city after another, building stopped almost overnight. When Maya history resumed, generations later, invaders had taken over. This new civilization lasted 4 more centuries. Then, gradually, temples and pyramids fell into decay. The jungle crept over the dead cities. With the death of the educated classes, building stopped, religion declined, and the civilization died.
The Egyptians built their pyramids as tombs, while of course the Maya never did. Or did they? In archaeology, the last word is never said. Take, for example, the recent dramatic discovery made at Palenke in southern Mexico.
Palenke is a Maya city that flourished for centuries in ancient times. Then it died and was forgotten, completely. It lay hidden in the jungle until about 200 years ago. Though it was one of the first of the Maya cities to be discovered in modern times, only a small part of it has yet been hacked out of the jungle. So far, archaeologists have uncovered several fine temples and a large palace with many courtyards. Many of the buildings contain superb stone carvings. Dominating the main quadrangle at Palenke is an immensely high pyramid, capped with a building called the Temple of the Inscriptions, because its inside walls are partly covered with priestly computations. Only in recent years has a grant of Rockefeller funds made it possible for the Mexican government to begin clearing and excavating in earnest at Palenke. To take charge of the work at Palenke, the government picked one of Mexico's ablest archaeologists, Dr. Alberto Ruz. From the very beginning of operations, Dr. Ruz had been fascinated by the Temple of the Inscriptions. Because of its height and because of the fact that it had never been explored, he felt sure that down inside, something interesting might be found. Others before Dr. Ruz had been impressed by the towering bulk of the pyramid. They had suspected that it might contain some surprises, but before there had been no funds to work with. Particularly interesting to Dr. Ruz was the floor of the temple, made of stone slabs, not of stucco as in the other Maya temples. In one of these slabs, there were some mysterious holes fitted with stone plugs. Archaeologists had been puzzling over these for years. Every archaeologist is at least half detective, eternally looking for the little clues that will break the case, like the cigarette butts murderers are always leaving behind them in the whodunits. When you read about an archaeologist stumbling across some buried treasure somewhere, you can be sure of one thing. The stumbling was the end result of a lot of knowledge, a lot of shrewd deduction, a lot of good, hard work, and very little luck. The treasure that turns up may not always be what he's looking for, but it is no accident that he found it. What Alberto Ruz came across when he dug under the floor of his Maya temple was not the lower-level temple that might have been expected. It was something absolutely new among Maya discoveries. A secret stairway leading down inside the pyramid. Whoever had set out to block off the stairway, for whatever purpose, had done a good job of it. Dr. Ruz's men had to hack their way down, step by step, through a mixture of rock and rubble that time and dampness had welded into an almost solid mass. In the 10 weeks before the rainy season put a stop to work, the crew was able to uncover only 23 steps. The next season was even tougher. The deeper they went, the damper it became, and the more solidly lime and water had bound the rubble together. That season, again, they did only 23 steps. Then the staircase turned back on itself toward the center of the pyramid. So it was definitely not a passage to another building. Spadeful by spadeful, they were digging toward some secret, a secret that had been kept for 1,000 years. Before the third season was over, they reached a level corridor, and at its end, they came upon a grim discovery. Into one small stone coffer were crowded the skeletons of 6 people, sacrificed by the Maya priests to guard this place through eternity. In a wall, beside the coffer, was a great triangular block of stone, slightly ajar. The door to the secret of the temple. 1,000 years of dripping lime had transformed the chamber, but the carvings on its walls were still as magnificent as the day they were finished. Whatever the room was for, it must have had some extraordinary significance. Almost filling up the center of the chamber was an immense stone slab, intricately and beautifully carved, one of the most important works of art ever uncovered among Maya ruins. Jacking up the slab was laborious, careful work. Always in Dr. Roos's mind was the risk of breaking it. But it was a risk worth taking, for underneath might lie something more important still.
Listo. Cuatro. Listo. Cinco. Listo.
All known facts about the Maya and their ways contradicted Dr. Roos's theory that this huge slab was the cover to a sarcophagus, that this chamber and the pyramid within which it lay were built to entomb the remains of some great Maya personage.
Your flash. The body is there.
This was the secret of the Maya temple. All that time had left of some forgotten Indian who, in his day, had been great and powerful. 1,000 years ago, he had been buried here. His body richly decked in jewelry of jade, more valuable than diamonds or platinum to the Maya. Any day, in the National Museum of Mexico City, you can see what he must once have looked like. They have reconstructed the body as it was when he was buried. The scattered jewelry has been reassembled. The jade mask, which had fallen to pieces, has been put together. And so he lies there again, as the last man who looked upon him must have seen him on that day 10 centuries ago when they closed the sarcophagus. To you and to me, a curiosity to wonder at for a moment. But to archaeologists, more, much more.
To the archaeological world, this discovery by Dr. Roos is one of the jackpots of recent years. It takes us one step nearer the elusive truth. His discovery has shown that at least in one case, the Maya built a pyramid over a tomb much like the Egyptians. It does this demonstrate a connection between the Egyptians and the Maya, between the old and new world. Perhaps not, but someday, someone, somewhere, may find another clue, and then we will know and demonstrate a connection between the Egyptians and the Maya, between the old and new world. Perhaps not, but someday, someone, somewhere, may find another clue, and then we will know.
Many centuries ago, this wild jungle in Central America was the home of a great Indian civilization, the Maya. From his aerial perspective, Jose films a famous temple that had been lost in jungle oblivion for over 1,000 years. It is a strange story. As the jungle foliage is cleared, Temple B of Rio Bec is revealed. At the top of the towers appear two enigmatic masks, suggesting the larger enigma of how a powerful civilization can suddenly collapse. It is a question we might well consider today. The discovery of this lost temple will unfold as part 2 of our program. A lost temple rediscovered is only one clue to the mystery of a civilization that lost everything. Those who lived in splendor long ago. These proud, priestly figures were the leaders of a great civilization, the Maya. 1,000 years before Columbus came from Europe, they lived and ruled in hundreds of ceremonial centers throughout the jungles of Central America. These Indians were not savages. They led their people beyond the simple village culture into the complexity of civilized life. In their classic period, between 300 and 900 AD, did they not have reason to be confident that they and their civilization would continue on its progressive way forever? They had beaten back the jungle and built massive temple cities. When Europe was in the Dark Ages, these most civilized of original Americans instituted a calendar more accurate than the one we use today. The Maya invented the concept of zero, developed a hieroglyphic writing system, and could calculate numbers into the millions. Maya astronomers could accurately predict eclipses and believed they could foretell the future. Until the calamity they feared most happened, the classic Maya civilization stopped. On what fragile threads does the life of any civilization depend? Must it die? Tantalizing questions reach out to haunt us all. The ancient Maya conceived that each day was a god who would use the top line to carry in the burden and the beauty of the new day. The Maya today live mostly on the Yucatan Peninsula or in the highlands of Guatemala and southern Mexico. In ancient times, the Maya flourished in a completely different environment, the now uninhabited, hot, lowland jungle called El Petén. Of the many different Indian nations, only the Maya became the masters of this rainforest, this wilderness so hostile to man and yet magnificent. There are blooming orchids of infinite variety and several hundred species of colorful birds, including the oropendula, who raise their young in high-hanging nests. There are plentiful jaguar and other wild cats. There are hundreds of small creatures who must watch out for the boa constrictor. In addition to snakes, there are large and sometimes poisonous insects and caterpillars. The monkeys are shy and hard to see. In their own leafy world are spider monkeys and the larger howler monkeys with their haunting cries. The jungle had a stimulating influence upon Maya thought and imagination. The Maya mind could move freely from this natural world into ideas of the supernatural. The serpent became a rain god in their religious beliefs. They also believed that the sun was swallowed up at night by the earth god and became a jaguar, moving silently through the darkness of the underworld. How were the Maya able to adjust to this difficult forest environment and rise to a high civilization? This is a question still unanswered. In any case, the Maya became highly organized into city-states. During the classic period, 3 million Maya lived in hundreds of population centers, including the city of Yaxchilan. Situated on the Usumacinta River in the Petén, Yaxchilan is reachable only by plane or by dugout canoe. A caretaker and his family are now the only inhabitants of this once great city. They guide Gillette Griffin, who is a Maya explorer and curator of pre-Columbian art at Princeton University.
Look, here goes the snake. Look, we've got something here.
At Yaxchilan, Griffin wants to examine some of the carved monuments which can be found lying face down on the ground.
Wait a minute. I see something. I see something very interesting. Very interesting, with a raking light. Sí, mira. Sí, bonito. Okay, bueno. That is beautiful. Okay. Palacio.
This is the palace, the largest building at Yaxchilan.
Huge building with a roof comb. Oh, look at the side of that roof comb. Oh, fantastico. Magnifico. Look way up at the very top of the roof comb. There's a great figure sitting on a bench up there with one leg still in place. You ever seen a picture of that upper figure?
The figure on the roof comb could represent a ruler who has been identified as Bird Jaguar. Griffin wants to inspect the lintels above the doorways of the building.
Oh, mira. Oh, this is beyond belief.
The lintels are yielding historical information. This carving shows Bird Jaguar's accession to power in 757 AD, at the age of 34. Scholars are learning more about Bird Jaguar and other historical Maya figures through interpretation of the hieroglyphic writing. Archaeologist Ian Graham carries forward the effort to reconstruct the Maya past, seeking evidence that may someday explain their rise and fall. Half the year, he works in the Peabody Museum at Harvard University, preparing detailed drawings of monuments for his major work, a corpus of Maya inscriptions. This opus is expected to run to more than 3,000 plates and 50 volumes. But before Graham can draw a Maya monument for the permanent record, he has first of all to find it. This means that the other half of Ian Graham's year has to be spent seeking out lost monuments, exploring the vast wilderness of the El Petén jungle. In northern Guatemala, Graham travels up the river San Pedro Martir in search of a lost Maya city called El Peru. It has never been explored by an archaeologist. To get there means a river trip, wild and beautiful, going upstream many hours, far from the nearest village or house, into the most remote part of the jungle. The next morning's job is to find what remains of the ancient city of El Peru. It is dense and baffling in the bush, but after 2 days searching for El Peru, Graham sees a significant stone. With an expert eye, he knows that under the green moss, this stone will yield classic inscriptions.
He has freed me of these petty attachments.
You can't step on them, okay?
All right, so real quick, hope you guys enjoyed the documentary, right? How they found the tomb, right, of Pakal, Lord Pakal, and now we're doing a little bit more digging on what they were doing, you know, when they were finding all these sites in Central America and Mexico. Before I continue, they just went into, they're looking for El Peru site, right? As we were just watching, they're digging through the jungle. They took many days to get there by boat, right? So they found this place. We've talked about El Peru site. It's actually used to be called Waka. They call it El Peru-Waka today, but it was actually referred to Waka before, or a sacred place, as the person is about to say. It was a very ceremonial religious place. He's going to let you know in the video. We're going to go right back to it. But before I do, I wanted to remind you guys what we talked about in my Wakanda video. this little figurines they found there. So this figurine in the left with the hand raised, he's got one of those Roman soldiers kind of like headgear. He also has like a turban on. All right, they actually found that where the guy is digging right now in the video. We're gonna go right back to it, but I guess that's when they got there, right? They're documented, you know, how when they got there and found El Peru site, and you know, on digging it, because this is honestly, as you saw, you're gonna see it's actually still, they haven't really dug up much. There's still a lot of things buried, a lot of debris, a lot of jungle that they have to clear, and they haven't. But I just wanted you to understand that this figurine right here that I have in the cover of this video was found in this site right here, El Peru site. We're gonna get that right now. I just want to show you some other examples real quick. See, that's the one I'm gonna show in the video right here. All right, you can see this guy. He got like dreadlocks or something, right? You can see this guy's phenotype. All right, and I'm gonna show you this one. That's him, same with the helmet on. So you can take the helmet on and off. You can actually take the helmet. That's how ill it is, like a little toy or something. I don't know, but they found this, and again, in El Peru-Waka, and this is in Guatemala, not in Peru. We're not talking about South America. I know a lot of you guys are getting confused with that. You keep leaving comments saying, "Oh, South America." You know, no. We're not talking about South America. This is in Guatemala, in Central America. It's just called El Peru. They called it El Peru site. There must be a link there. Is what I explained right now. But so again, I want to show you this one. Look at this one. This was also found there. You see his, and you see like the turban kind of on. This was also found right there in Guatemala, where those people are digging right now in the video, in the jungle, right? He's going through the jungle, right? So just quick reminder of Amaruca, the true old world, right? The Turtle Island, Mayak. All right, so we're gonna get into real quick my little portion of this part of my Wakanda video. We're gonna get it like it's the first time again, now that we're seeing this guy going through the jungle right there. All right,
so we just learned about Waka, right? So we know about Wakan, Waka, a sacred place. So we have this place right here in Guatemala. It's an archaeological site, a city called El Peru, Waka. It says here, in search of the lost empire of the Maya, Waka, El Peru. In about 656, King Jaguar throne, again King Jaguar, in Waka, El Peru in Guatemala. A snake alley was laid to rest in this city-state. His tomb contained painted ceramic figurines, 4 to 9 inches tall, depicting a mythical ritual from the underworld. Again, underworld, Jaguar, right? The lord of the underworld. So regarding this figurines that was found in this tomb, I just want you to take a look at these ones right here. Look at the physical characteristics of these persons, especially the one on the left. Now, unless you're blind or you practice willful ignorance, this is a so-called Negro person. Just look at it. This is in Waka, El Peru. Alright, Negro people in Waka, Wakanda, Waka, sacred place. Ancient Mayans from Guatemala. Says El Peru, also known as Waka, same way that Waka, right, in Peru with the H, but it's pronounced Waka, W-A-K-A, just like the site. So El Peru, also known as Waka, is a pre-Columbian Maya archaeological site occupied during the pre-classic and classic cultural chronology periods, roughly 500 BC to 800 AD. Dodge the chronology hijack. The site was the capital of Maya city-state and is located near the banks of the San Pedro River in the department of Petén of northern Guatemala. El Peru is 60 kilometers, 37 miles west of Tikal, another important Mayan city. So it's here that the etymology, the site was named El Peru when rediscovered in the 20th century. So it was named El Peru, that wasn't the name. Hieroglyphics identified and deciphered at the site have indicated that the ancient name for the site was Waka. So it was called Waka, not El Peru, but they must have seen a similarity with the Wakas, right, of Peru when they found Waka and they called it El Peru, maybe. or maybe they were related, these civilizations. While both names are currently used interchangeably, El Peru predominates on extant maps. In the published literature, a conflated name is generally used, El Peru-Waka. So the indigenous people of this city called it Waka. So this was obviously a sacred place, because we know what Waka means. Wakan, Wakanda, supernatural, sacred, omnipresent. So this is what the place used to look like, according to the tour guides there. This is from the actual archaeological park there. And most of it today is still covered up, you know, with vegetation and dirt. A lot of the pyramids and mounds, they're covered up. They're not even dug up. I watched the video, and the only parts that it was actually dug up was most of it was from looters, which have been coming in and looting all these pyramids, and then they recover them back, and they haven't been unburied. They're still there. Why they don't unbury this site? Why don't they show us all this stuff? I don't know. What is in here? I mean, the discovery and the release of information for the site is recent, right? And this is not known to many people, right? Again, El Peru-Waka, a sacred place. Waka.
All right. So again, El Waka, right? Waka is sacred place. El Peru site, and that's where they found this figurine right there. All right, you saw how big it was. If they clear all that jungle, you see how big it is. It even we just read it was a capital. It was one of the capitals. It was not just this little small archaeological zone that we're seeing the guy dig through. We're gonna continue that right now. We're gonna go right back to the documentaries. All right. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Wow.
Graham realizes that El Peru was a very large ceremonial center. This monument was once 20 feet high, but has been cut in half. Looters have hacked it to pieces to trade in the illegal and highly profitable international art market. After further clearing, Graham finds even greater evidence of destruction by looters. Piracy, for the sake of art dealers and collectors, is decimating the wealth of the Maya heritage and hampering the efforts of scholars in reconstructing the Maya past. A shattered prize. The face that Graham puts together has the serenity and delicacy that mark the Maya ideal of beauty. What happened to cause the collapse of Maya civilization and the splendor of it? Most of what is left of Maya history amounts to a scattered body of fragments in stone, images of lost loveliness and grace. Graham is salvaging bits of history carved in stone. Like pieces in a puzzle, they may someday fit together to solve a mystery, to tell a story. Selecting one monument, Graham begins the meticulous work of scraping away the moss to reveal the inscriptions. He is working against the destructive effect of time and men, who can sometimes be murderers. On a previous trip, Graham's companion was shot to death by looters. Cleaning one stone can take several days. Then Graham prepares a pencil drawing, precisely to scale, of the carving on this broken monument. The figure represents a ruler. The face-forward perspective is unusual in Maya art. The sliced-off top with the ornate headdress was probably taken out by the looters. But where are the legs and feet of the figure? Graham believes this massive stone may be the bottom part. The problem is to turn it over. Gradually, the bottom part is turned, revealing the standing legs and feet of the figure. For further documentation, Graham takes photographs of the monument with a powerful electronic flash. And at night, he uses a generator to make light. In this way, he can draw fine details, which show up better under raking light from a handheld source. In the Peabody Museum at Harvard, several months later, Graham refers to his field drawings and photographs in completing ink drawings of the El Peru monuments. Graham's collection of drawings and inscriptions will help scholars to decipher Maya writing. Maya hieroglyphs are slowly yielding their secrets. About 1/3 of the glyphs are at least partly understood.
The left-hand edge has been destroyed, but what remains of it, 14 kins, 14 days, ending on a 5-ish day of the week, is enough to place the date quite securely.
The Maya could express all of their thoughts in writing. This was the most complex written language that evolved in the Americas before Columbus.
Finally, we come to the historical meat of the inscription. There you can see Shield Jaguar, one of the great lords of Yaxchilan. Here he's named as Captor. That glyph means captor of the Lord Ahau, since the main element of his name is an Ahau sign. And the next glyph is the emblem glyph of Yaxchilan, which may be the name of the town or possibly of the dynasty.
How did the Maya, alone among American Indian groups, achieve full literacy and a high civilization throughout the dense jungles of Central America? The mystery of the Maya rise and fall remains, but there is increasing evidence of their brilliant achievements. In 1947, the discovery of a place called Bonampak revealed that the Maya were also master painters of wall-sized murals. Here is a procession of musicians. The drawings are visible enough after 1,200 years that they could be accurately copied in these reproductions by Antonio Tejeda. Here, a decorative banner worn like wings. Here, a fantastic mask. Within the idiom of the flat, frontal Maya style, we see each figure in his costume, attitude, and role in the Maya community. Priests, astronomers, architects, warriors, merchants, artists, musicians. In concept and quality, Bonampak ranks with the greatest mural art in the world. This drawing of the body of a captive suggests the mastery of Renaissance draftsmanship. Mexican archaeologist Victor Segovia was born and raised in the Maya world.
Manuel, fíjate que siempre tienes que sacar.
He identifies with the ancient Maya architects as he directs the excavation of a once great city called Cojunlich. Several thousand years before the Maya became highly civilized, their ancestors inhabited limestone caves that lie beneath the crust of the Yucatan Peninsula. The beginnings of Maya civilization are almost as mysterious as its sudden collapse. Gillette Griffin and archaeologist Jack Eaton are climbing down into this cave called Loltun, looking for evidence that could date back to the formative period more than 2,000 years ago.
Making light over here.
They are searching for man-made carvings.
These things could be quite early. I see something right here that looks like...
These incised lines suggest early attempts to draw fertility symbols or to keep a calendar.
Got something here. Take a look at the stone.
It's all very tentative, but there is no guesswork in finding this metate, used in this cave by early people in the grinding of their corn into flour. Out of the deep recesses of man's past in the Americas, the stone metate is still used for the purpose of grinding corn, the staple crop. Corn gods became prominent in the ancient Maya books. Arthur G. Miller, an archaeologist at Yale University, is studying facsimiles of the 4 surviving Maya books. Miller believes that the origin of one of these rare books, called the Madrid Codex, can now be identified. He thinks it must have come from this area, along the Caribbean coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, where the Spaniards first landed and had their first contacts with Maya culture. On a recent trip to this area, Miller searched amid still standing walls and vaulted rooms. In ruin after ruin, Miller looked for stucco-covered surfaces where there might be signs of wall painting. Finally, he discovered a precious fragment, a drawing of the corn god. The head splitting apart holds a kernel of corn. Returning to Yale University, Miller compares a copy of the figure he discovered on the wall with nearly identical drawings of the corn god in the Madrid Codex. For the first time, the origin of a Maya book is strongly indicated. From these books, particularly the Dresden Codex, scholars are impressed by what the ancient Maya knew of astronomy. Accurate tables of lunar and solar eclipses, the length of the Venus year. Venus was the wasp star and had to be watched most carefully.
This glyph refers to in the guise of or impersonating Venus. You see this thing that looks like the navel of an orange.
Knowledge of Venus, of the sun, of all the heavenly bodies controlled the Maya life cycle. The measurement of time was their principal concern. Carefully aligned monuments and window openings served as fixed points of observation to measure the movements of sun and moon, of the planets and the stars. With what concentration and care they must have watched the heavenly bodies, recorded and counted, conferred and corrected their calendar. With what pomp and flourish they must have prepared the people for an eclipse and other predictable events in the sky. Stone monuments were placed in front of pyramid temples like giant sundials. Thus, the priests could dramatize the course of the sun god Yaxchilan. Temple 2 at Tikal faces eastward toward the rising sun. Tikal was the largest of Maya cities, and there they built pyramids that thrust high above the treetops to meet the sun. The temples dominate great plazas where the people would assemble. Priestly processions could climb the stairs and disappear into remote chambers, which could have been used for astronomical studies, for religious ceremonies, or the practice of architecture. What ancient Maya drew in stucco this sketch of the temple of the giant jaguar? Tikal's temples reached for the sun, some of them more than 200 feet high. Tikal was the skyscraper city of the ancient world. The Maya built roads to link together their capital cities. Here too, the classic civilization flourished. At Coba, at Chichen, Sayil, Chivilchaltún, and many other cities. Here at Uxmal, the Maya, free of the confining rainforest, celebrated open space with an architecture of sweeping lines and smooth surfaces. They set monumental buildings on enormous platforms. The governor's palace is the largest building in the Maya world, with the highest vaulted archways. The Maya emphasized the link between the home dedicated to the gods the graceful dancers molded in stucco on the walls at Palenke. Stucco and fine-grained limestone served the artists of Palenke well. The architecture and art of Palenke are especially fine. comparable to the highest achievements in Greek or Chinese art, Egyptian or Byzantine. Each temple is a jewel in its jungle setting. Beneath the temple of the inscriptions at Palenke, Mexican archaeologist Alberto Ruz made an important discovery. Gillette Griffin investigates.
Lámpara, aquí. That's a beautiful construction, by the way. Beautiful construction.
For 3 years, Dr. Ruz and his workers cleared debris from this massive passageway until they were able to descend 80 feet from the temple above to the base of the pyramid.
Wow.
At the bottom of the stairway, Dr. Ruz discovered a large tomb. Looking closer, he found an immense stone slab. It was a lid that covered the sarcophagus containing a body. Probing further, Dr. Ruz raised the lid, and inside the sarcophagus he found the remains of a great chieftain of the late 7th century, his face covered with a mask of jade mosaic and obsidian eyes. With such a rich burial, this chief was assured of a safe journey into the underworld the Maya envisioned for souls in the afterlife. On ceremonial pots found in many Maya burials, supernatural beings are portrayed who may be the heroes and lords of the underworld. They seem to be speaking and gesturing with the grace and courtliness that must have marked the life of the Maya hierarchy. This pottery had a ceremonial and religious function. Yet because of the masterly draftsmanship, an inner world of legend and fantasy survives. Maya pots are beautiful artifacts by any cultural standard. They are also a crucial element in Maya archaeology because they are among the few materials that can survive in the earth over many centuries. Excavating house mounds in the Yucatan Peninsula is archaeologist Prentice Thomas of the University of Tennessee. As he excavates through a plaster floor, suddenly there is a moment of discovery.
It's right under the plaster floor. Okay, I can see something there now.
Prentice and his wife, Mary Jane, probe carefully.
It might be a skull. It's about the color. Oh, no, it's a pot.
After taking photographs and measurements of the pot in place, they proceed to remove it. Prentice is the first person to touch this pot since it was ritually buried more than 1,000 years ago. In the shape of an owl, the pot is of museum quality. First, it must be analyzed and dated in a laboratory. The main thrust of Thomas's fieldwork in southern Yucatan is in the mapping of a region which still retains the house mounds of its ancient population centers.
As you can see, looking around here, the house mounds are just no more than 20 or 30 meters apart, just completely dotting the landscape. Well, it looks like we'll just map it. Hello, Eric, can you read me?
In walkie-talkie communication with his helpers, Thomas measures and records the outlines of hundreds of house mounds.
Okay, I'll get the northwest corner down here. Over.
He uses surveying techniques to prepare detailed maps.
Okay, Prentice, this is the northwest corner.
Okay, hang on.
Finishing a day's work, Prentice returns to camp to study his maps, which show something most intriguing: a high density of population in an area which today supports only a few people.
Our mapping and excavation program have made it quite clear that the population was very dense here.
As his maps show, in ancient times, the land was heavily used. There were buildings of all shapes and sizes. With so many inhabitants, There must have been many ceremonial centers. Some of these temples are lost today in the dense forest. Still, other temples have been visited only by loggers, or chicleros, as they are called. Men like Juan Briceño, who search the wilderness to gather chicle sap from the zapote tree. Chicle is the basic material for chewing gum. This area of southern Yucatan, called Rio Bec, is a trackless wilderness. But Juan Briceño is a skilled woodsman. While searching for zapote trees, Juan has explored many Maya ruins. Deep in the jungle, Juan Briceño knows where to find a structure with a facade made up of profiles in stucco of a serpent's head. This structure was first reported in 1912 by two Harvard archaeologists, Raymond Merwin and Clarence Hay.
Pase aquí.
Juan Briceño goes into the Rio Bec forest with Gillette Griffin and Prentice Thomas.
Careful. Okay. These finds are incredible.
They want to see a temple that Juan discovered recently, one unknown to archaeologists.
I see it.
At last, they see a structure of considerable size.
It's right in front of us.
Moving in closer, they see two towers with steep stairways leading up to false temples.
It has two towers.
Looking closely at this curious building, Gillette produces a 1912 photograph of a similar building, the legendary Temple B of Rio Bec, a lost masterpiece of Maya architecture. In 1912, Temple B was the prize find of the Merwin and Hay explorations, but no one has been able to find it again. They compare the old photograph with Juan's discovery. Is this the lost Temple B?
I'm not sure there's Temple B at all, but it's nice.
Yeah, I'm certain that it's not.
Prentice and Gillette conclude that this was surely an important Rio Bec structure, but only the towers are still intact. Although similar in many details, it is certainly not Temple B.
Might have been the same architect.
Here on a frontier of Maya exploration, they decide that the elusive Temple B cannot be far away. But where? Not even Juan Briceño knows. Temple B's fame is based on the photographs that Merwin and Hay brought back in 1912, which revealed the building of singular beauty. Aware of the uniqueness of Temple B, Clarence Hay supervised the making of models, which can be seen today in many museums. But it was, in fact, lost, reclaimed by the jungle. Finding Temple B again became an important and haunting challenge. Over the years, many expeditions have tried. All have failed to find it. Now, another expedition is planned to look for Temple B. Griffin plots a tentative course. Instead of heading north, as most expeditions have done, this group will search in an eastern direction into an unknown region. Juan Briceño will lead the way, assisted by his fellow woodsmen to cut trails and with hunter's sharp eyes to search for the temple. In this jungle growth, the group could pass within a few yards of the building and still not see it. Exploration here means exposure to extreme heat, thorny trees, poisonous plants, biting ants, ticks called garrapatas, and walking for miles in an area that has no drinking water during the dry season. A wilderness where even local people have become confused and lost and have died of thirst.
Watch out for the espinas.
A hunter has left this jaguar skull. Traveling straight east, Juan finds his way by recognizing and marking certain trees. To climb a tall tree barefoot and do it quickly is a necessary skill of the chiclero. José del Carmen is the best tree climber in the group. From time to time, he takes off his shoes and scampers up a tall zapote tree.
Quiero. Sí.
Sometimes more than 100 feet above the ground.
Oh, mariposa. Fantástico.
No buscamos.
From the treetop, Jose scans the horizon for any sign of twin towers. Jose sees no towers, but he reports seeing a high man-made platform about 500 meters to the south. Juan blazes a marker to indicate a turn to the south.
Cosh. Vamos.
The group heads for the platform, calling to one another to keep from getting lost. They climb up onto the ancient platform to try to get a perspective. The ground has been mostly level so far.
Oh, está bien.
From the platform, they see, far off on the horizon line, an odd clump of trees that could conceal a structure such as Temple B. Or it could be a mirage, an accidental clustering of trees.
Dos Torres? Posiblemente es B, huh?
Posiblemente.
The group decides to head for it, whatever it is, on a compass bearing of 76 degrees east-northeast. It is a precipitous descent down from the platform into the forest. The going is rough. It is incredibly hot. They gradually descend into a hollow. They are only halfway to their objective on the horizon. Without seeing it, everyone senses a building ahead. And then...
Parece. Templo B.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Sí. Él es.
El muro, Juan. Yeah, that's a building. Edificio. This could be it. I am pretty sure this is Temple B. Right on it.
Parece Templo B. Dos Torres.
Dos Torres, sí, exactamente. It's B. We're on the B.
Oh, yes, the tower.
Of course it's Temple B.
Right. It's beautiful.
It's Templo Bay. It's Templo Bay. For Briseño. Caramba.
After 61 years, Temple B has been rediscovered.
Front. Everybody, come on.
The next concern is, what does the front look like? After 61 years, is the beautiful Temple B still intact? Cutting through the thicket to the front of Temple B, they find it completely shrouded in jungle growth. The tall twin towers with masks on top, the steep ornamental stairways, all of the individual features can only be revealed after days of difficult clearing. Late in the afternoon, on the day of discovery, the sun, Yaxchilan, descends over Temple B. The clearing begins. Most of the big trees have fallen in a forest fire from which the temple was miraculously spared. The subsequent growth of warumba trees is thick and weed-like. The men are bothered by hornets. The nests must be found and put to the torch. Vines that shroud the temple must be carefully removed. It is up to Jose del Carmen to climb the so-called unclimbable Rio Bec stairs. Is it not possible that priests in ancient times also climbed these stairs? With such a stunt, they could show dominion over the populace and the forces of nature.
Sí, mira.
For 3 days, the men cut and clear heavy growth around and on top of the South Town. The wonder of the place grows day by day as the forest mantle retreats and the building is exposed.
This is un abecedario. Sí, un abecedario, sí. Es muy, muy bonito.
Juan and Gillette decide to join Andy inside the building. Removing moss from a stucco wall, Andy has found remarkable drawings. She puts up a layer of clear plastic and traces images cut in stucco that are like sketches taken from life in classic times. Two men are carrying a Maya lord on a litter. In the background is a pyramid in the style of Pakal.
Oh, there it is.
Prentice Thomas comes in.
Oh, this is just in amazing shape.
He compares the 1912 photograph with Temple B as it appears today.
It's exactly the same as the photograph.
The building is still largely intact.
Fantastic.
The old photograph shows that hardly a stone has fallen in 61 years. Prentice believes that Temple B could easily be restored. There is reason to do so. It is among the finest of Maya buildings. The precision of its stonework, the subtle proportions, the qualities which constitute great architecture at any time, make Temple B rank favorably with any work of ancient architecture in the world. But it seems a strange building to our Western eyes. The steep stairways leading up to stylized temples, the great masks on top, the symmetrical roof combs, all of these details give the building a sculptural quality that suggests a world of fantasy. After 10 days, the clearing is complete. Juan and Gillette are impressed by the masks at the top of the towers. It is then that the religious significance of Temple B begins to suggest itself. It was made to encounter the forces of the rain god, to greet the rising sun. Temple B must have been the stage for great pageantry, where priests would burn incense, create music, wave banners, light fires, and use the entire building to dramatize the rituals. In this hostile jungle, how did the Maya achieve a high civilization? Without metal tools or a wheel, they created this beautiful building that has survived for over 1,000 years. And yet, the great civilization collapsed. Why? The enigma persists. Why did the building of temples throughout the Maya world abruptly cease by 889 AD? Long before the Spaniards arrived, the Maya abandoned Temple B. Why? We can only speculate. Was there corruption at the top? Did the people revolt because the labor of building temples became excessive? Was the society swept by a demoralizing loss of faith? Or was the price of food too high because of crop failures or overpopulation? Mysteries, questions still unanswered. This tough survivor, Temple B, communicates what the quality of their civilization was when the Maya were truly successful, when it all worked. Amid their sacred mountains, the Maya no longer strain and struggle to build heavenly towers out of limestone. When the Moh spreads its lovely white veil over the green mountains, heaven is here.
海賊は肉で宴をやるけど。
British 50,000